Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Football Brisbane version of the Vilic SEQFC preview show. My name is Darren Lutton, and with me, we've got a cavalcade of football greats across this great city of ours. We've got Liam Parslow, who actually lives in Ipswich. G'day, Liam. How are you, mate?
Hello, everybody. How are we all? It's good to be here, as always. Talking football.
Good. He's sticking around from the Football Queensland show. Now, our guests tonight, we've got Leo Sirianni, who's the head coach at Pine Hills. G'day, Leo.
Hello, guys. How are you?
Good, Leo.
Very well, very well. And Pine Hills, big 7-1 win on the weekend. Leo, you're getting things up and running now.
Yeah. We had a slow start. It's different for the start that we've normally had when I've had teams. But, I think every game we were in, but it's, the last couple of weeks has been very good. I think we're starting to understand each other. We've obviously lost a few boys from last year, and it's just a little bit of time to get together. But, we've had 2 good weeks, and you got to play week by week. We could go get beat this weekend or next weekend. So, but no, happy with the last 2 weeks.
For sure. Now, we've got someone who is new to, I've never interviewed him before, so looking forward to having a chat tonight. It's Joshua Hampstead from Newmarket, who's actually second in Capital League One. G'day, Josh. Josh, are you there?
Can't hear him.
Can't hear. Got to turn your microphone on, Josh. In the meantime, we'll come back to Josh. But in the meantime, there was big news today that Liam Safe has left AC Carina, who are also in Capital One. Liam, thank you for joining us this evening.
You're welcome.
And we see that the AC Carina Club have taken all your clothes as well as the coaching gear.
Exactly. They've stripped me naked.
They wanted all their gear back as well. They're on a tight budget. Mate, tell us about the decision today, or the announcement today.
I found out that they'd applied for the Super League, so I stood my ground and told them where to shove it. So... it was all on my terms. I've got 2 kids, and one of them has medical condition, as you know, Darren, and he needs a lot of attention. So I wasn't planning on coaching this year, and the president talked me into it. I'd kind of lost a bit of passion for it, and not being able to be 100% committed doesn't help either. So that had a lot to do with it. That was one of the main reasons. The other reason was, and out of respect and privacy for the club, I won't go into details, but there's some upcoming changes at the club which influenced my decision to leave. So those were the main 2 reasons. The performances have not been good or up to standard this year. We've been extremely unlucky with a few decisions in games that have cost us goals. Not that they've costed the games, but they've cost us goals, and usually get 2 or 3 games like that a year, and we've had 3 in a row. So we've been a bit unlucky to begin with this year, and I think the squad's more than good enough to turn it around. And we've still got the likes of Pine Hills to play, which would be a easy 3 points. So we would have picked up some points along the line along this half of the season anyway. So I think they'll be fine. But yeah, it was all my choice. It wasn't like the club had had enough or I'd left on bad terms or anything like that. I'm still on good terms with everyone at the club. All
right. We might have a permanent gig for you on the preview show from now on, hey?
Do I have to wear a shirt?
Yeah, well, we'll get you a shirt.
Yeah.
So that'll be something. If not, Leo will certainly get you one.
Yeah.
I'll get you one of these ball ones, mate. Don't worry,
yeah. Get me one of them. Send me one.
Josh, is there an assistant coaching gig going at Newmarket?
Oh, mate. No, not quite, unfortunately.
They pay
Right.
Josh too much
we'll
money.
rule that one out for Liam.
Can you hear me this time? Is my mic up and going now?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
mate, yeah, you're all systems
can.
go now.
Cracking.
Josh, Newmarket are off to a great start in Capital League One this season. You must be pleased.
Yeah, it's been nice. It's been probably a daunting start going into Cat 1 in the year that it was looking like it was going to be. Obviously, I assisted last year and saw what Logan and Pine Hills were like, and I heard some good things out of North Pine and a few of the other, well, really all of the clubs. So it was a bit daunting, but we've had a good preseason, maybe not result-wise, but just around the club, just a change in attracting players and getting an assistant manager who's really been great at mentoring me, who's sort of a good mate of my old man. So it's just sort of come together nicely for us, which has been good.
Who's your assistant?
John Rule. So he was last at Power. I believe he was amongst the 18s or the 20s. And before that, he was amongst North Pine. So, and then many years with the 4X League at Pine Rivers and whatnot. So he's got really good experience and really good to mentor me along.
Yeah, that's a great little appointment there. Well done. Right, so tell us a bit about Newmarket, because we've certainly never had you on the show before. Attracting players, do you just hang outside Spencer Stadium and just say, "Hey, you unhappy? Come on over"? Because you're practically next door to Brisbane City, aren't you?
Yeah, mate, it's a strange. It's. I mean, we're a stone throw away from it, but since I've been around Newmarket anyway, I don't know too much of an affiliation or anything like that yet. I don't know whether that's just been to, I guess, maybe the stretch between the two leagues they're a part of, one being NPL and the other one recently being Cap 2. But it'd be nice to pick up a few from there.
I'm sure there's a bit difference in your fees as well, hey?
Yeah, I think the city's fees might be a bit more than ours at times. At least juniors.
All right. Now let's quickly have a look at the Brisbane Premier League table, and we see Albany Creek on top of the ladder, over Bayside United and the Lakes and Toowong. I expect, having said that, St George are in 5th. I expect these 5 teams to be fighting it out for the premiership. Leo, I'm not talking bollocks there, am I?
Yeah, I think, I mean, you got to look at the QPL2 coming in, and obviously, 3 or 4 of those teams going, or 4 all going into that QPL2. Albany Creek have got a great setup there. So, and this is not to have a go at any club, but Albany Creek should win that league probably midway through the year. You'd assume. Unfortunately, like I said, Steve's a great coach. He's got a good team, but just the rest of the teams, I don't think are up for BPL because they've been, obviously players have left to go to QPL2, QPL1, and NPL. So with all these leagues, teams start to, desiccate. I know, Bayside, I don't think the same team as last year. Obviously, you bring new players in, but I just don't see anyone coming close to Albany Creek. I think it's Albany Creek, and then the rest will fight it out.
So I don't know if you've seen any of the other teams in the comp, Leo, but is there anyone that you think can challenge them?
No. It's just they've got a great
Not
squad.
at all.
You look last night, they played against Gold Coast United, and they lost on penalty shootouts, and they didn't look anywhere out of place. So they've got a great squad there. I don't lie. Like I said, you'd love to see someone push them. I just think they're too strong. So there's no, and there's no pressure on them to win it because they got good players. They'll win it.
Yeah. What about the Lakes? I saw them play, and they've got a great forward line. I think I fancy them to give them a bit of a shake.
Oh, listen, anyone that they can beat anyone. I just think, Albany Creek are a big club. I mean, I think we spoke. I think on the other show before, you're talking about how much depth you got. The Lakes would say would be strong, but how much depth have the Lakes got? It's a long season. How many teams from Capital One went up to fill in the BPL spots? And look, Josh knows from last year, Capital 2, 6 teams went up to the Capital One, and that Capital One competition this year is going to be very, very tight. Like it's going to be a hell of a league to get out of. But then again, what happens next year? Like who goes where? This is the unknown. Like I asked Liam before, where does all the BPLs go to QPL 2? Like, does it matter who wins the league this year? Should we want to win the league? I mean, every year you want to win the league, but where does everyone end up?
Yeah, it's been mentioned that if you do win, like Albany Creek have expressed they have no desire to play in the FQPL, take their place within that structure. So obviously they'll have to just
who are they going to play
the request to play in the playoffs.
They're going to play against the Bribey Island Brims and the Peel Island Pippies. Like there won't be anyone to play.
Yeah, quite possibly. Quite possibly. So just having a look at matches this weekend, there are a couple of games that have been scheduled. So Centenary Stormers are hosting Brisbane Knights, Western Spirit hosting the Lakes, the Gap up against Memcrabat, UQ hosting Albany Creek. Those are the 4 games. No real standouts there. I might head on out to Centenary Stormers up against Brisbane Knights just to see where they're at. What you guys got any knowledge of those 2 teams?
Not really.
I'll take that as a no.
I mean, maybe everybody's quiet because, to be honest, to go watch a good game, you want to go watch a good game. And I'm being honest, what game is a good game? Maybe if St. George are playing Albany Creek, there's not enough good games in that competition that you say, and I love watching football, that you're going to go out and watch. Where if you look and I know I'm coaching in the Capital One, and so is Liam and Josh, but every weekend it's a belter. Like, forget about the score lines that we've had over the last 2 weeks. Like our first 3 weeks was hard. Like it was tough. And that's what you want as a coach. You want to be able to, play tough games, and when you win the league, you deserve to win the league. So to go watch a Capital One game, I think you're going to get more people that want to go and watch those games than you just mentioned. Who wants to? No one said a word about which game or what they're interested in.
For sure. All right, so let's turn our attention to Capital One. North Pine, the mighty Gorillas, are on top of the table on 13 points. Newmarket second, Annerley third, Pine Hills in 4th. So what do you put this slow start to the season down to, Leo? You said it's taken a while to get your players in sync.
I think we're our own worst enemies. Like, I'm not going to shy away that I think we've got one of the best teams in the Capital One. But if you don't score goals, you don't win games. And there's an element of luck sometimes where you've got to create your own luck. So, Slacks Creek, and obviously probably a little bit, one of my players' fathers passed away the 2 hours before the first game of the season. And we had that game postponed. And we are a very close-knit group. The boys are like brothers. And that had a lot of effect emotionally on the boys because he was a young man that passed away, only 54 years old suddenly. So that took a little bit out. But, we turned up that game and we were 2-1 up. We probably should have been 4 or 5. And they had one chance in the second half when we scored an own goal for them in the 92nd minute. So we draw 2-2. The week after that, it was Logan, which was a crazy game. We were 2-1 up. No time left, and Logan goes score 2 goals in the 91st and the 93rd minute, and we happened to equalise in the 95th minute. With 2-1 up in injury time, you should lock out that game. So a little bit of obviously we changed our back line. We lost a few players from last year, so settling on the back line's been the biggest issue probably in the first month. And hopefully now we've got some stability there now in the back line. and we'll be able to push on.
Liam Parslow, I might throw to you now. You went to the Ipswich derby last weekend, Ripley up against the Bulls.
Yes, mate, I did. And I tried to get an interview with Pato after the match, but I think it was a bit of a lost cause, to be honest. I think Pato would be, I think he was a little bit I think he was disappointed in losing that match. It seems to be the thing with the Ipswich derbies at the moment where the older teams have been around since day dot seem to have it over the young and up and coming teams, whether it's the FQPL with Knights and Pride, or it's Ripley and Bulls. Bulls are up for this from the very beginning. Ripley Valley, unfortunately, during the warm up, they lost Brody with a little bit of a knee knock. So I read there. When he went off, I think their plans kind of went out the window a little bit. They had to kind of try and come up with a reply to that. But the game was an excellent game. It was hard fought. It was tough. You know, there was players, just the 50-50s were just, you know, were brilliant. You know, they were just shoulder charging one another. It was a really good hustle game. I think Ripley also lost Adam O'Sullivan to a hamstring just before half time. So they were kind of on the back foot a bit. But to be fair, I'm not sure how much that would have influenced the end result, because I think Ipswich City turned up. Ripley Valley tried to get back into the game. They were fortunate towards the end of the middle of the second half. I don't know whether Brody should have come back on or not, but he certainly came back on. They got him back. He was warming up and down the sidelines before, and he seemed to be moving all right. But when he came back in, you could really see that the game turned a little bit, to the point where they actually got a goal back. But it was too little, too late, really, to be honest. So you know, that's, you know, the Bulls have got, you know, some big names, some big Ipswich names that have been around for a long time, like Kitching and Lincoln Rule. You know, they've all played with the NPL Pride team and all that. So, you know, those two boys, if you ask me, they really got stuck into this match and played really well. It was really good to see a tough derby. It really was.
To Liam Safe, you went down 3-2 to Logan Metro on the weekend.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they're a good side. I like how the style of football that they play. I think it's really good. I don't think we deserve to lose. You don't see it on the highlights, but there's a big referee blunder right at the beginning for their first goal, which he apologised for at half time, which essentially cost. We go 1-0 down. We were cruising before that, and goals change games. And then we went 2-0 down at the other side of the half, and then we managed to score 2 goals in 2 minutes and get back in the game. And then apparently it didn't look offside to me, but apparently their last goal was offside. But you know, no complaints there, because it to me it didn't look offside. But we were, I guess, every game we've lost, you know, we've lost by 1 goal. So although we've not won the game or got anything from the game, it shows that we're always in the game. So I think that Carina is just missing. They're just missing a bit of flair up front. And as Leo said earlier, if you don't score, you don't win. And they're just missing a goal scorer. It's the big issue at Carina. They're just missing a goal scorer. They had someone that could score goals, you know, even if they just get 15 a season, you know, there's games that we've lost or drawn that we would have won, you know.
And Josh, you had a 1-0 win over Saxe Creek.
Yeah, we had a win over Slacks a few weeks back, which was always tough at Slacks. Always tough at Slacks. I think Leo will know that. They've got an atmosphere out there, that's for sure.
What happened last weekend?
We were last week at.
What was your game last weekend?
New Farm. New Farm at New Farm. So we went up 4-3.
Right.
It was a it was a bit of a goal fest in the second half. 7 goals in the second half.
Wow. I thought Pine Hills played New Farm on the weekend. Have I got that completely wrong?
Well, we had the week off because it was a
Catch-up round.
Catch up, yeah. So we played them. We played them the week
sense.
before, and then I think they played Power and then Pine Hills.
Yeah, I left your game, Josh, when you played
Right.
New Farm.
Okay.
You guys were up 3-0, and I drove from New Farm to Perry Park.
Don't remind me,
I
mate.
looked at my phone, and it was 3-3 within, and I think it's 8 minutes from New Farm Park to Perry Park.
Yeah,
and you guys got a late winner there.
Yeah, it was an interesting game. We went in there with, as like from our previous 3 games, we conceded 2 goals and we had scored 3 goals, or scored 4 goals. So the stats were that we weren't scoring many, but we weren't leaking many. And the second half, we come out. It looked like, I think we had trained once in 2 weeks and hadn't played in that 2-week spell due to wet weather and Easter and whatnot. So we went up 3-0 second half, and like you do sometimes, you think the game's over, and they brought on some quick lads out wide, just got three quick counter-attack goals, and then we just went down the other end, banged one in, and from there it was pretty end-to-end stuff, but we held on and got the points, which in these leagues sometimes you just got to do that.
So, Josh, given the situation that you're in now, what are your expectations of the season? Are the guys, you're confident as a club that you can maintain your position?
Yeah, definitely. Like we've got a real good mixture of fresh lads to lads that have been at the club for a while, and some real good experience that have come through. We've got quite good depth in our reserves as well. It's going to be a tough comp, like Leo was saying. Each week's going to be up for whoever wants it more. You can see that from our result. With I think Carina are last at the moment. We beat them 1-0, and Logan Metro, who come second last year, pretty convincingly. We had a 1-1 draw with a player sent off in the last 15 minutes. Each game's going to be tough. And then we go to New Farm and it's 7 goals in the second half. So we're confident though, if we turn up, if we're there every week, I think we can give anyone a run for our money, and it's sort of ours for the taking each week.
And if I'm reading this correctly, you've got Annalee this weekend, right?
Yeah, so we've got Annalee. It's a Anzac weekend. It's a tough one because we'll miss a few. I'm sure most clubs, Anzac weekend, long weekend, Cat 1, there's going to be boys away from each team, I'm sure, doing the family trips and holidays and whatnot. So it'll probably be our toughest week, I guess, into having, not having the squad that we've had through those 4 weeks. Will be a few changes in and out, but no excuses. Every club is going to go through that. So the good thing is we've got that depth, and we'll have Annalee, and they've obviously just beat Pine Hills, which was, one of the front runners easily in my eyes. I'm watching them. They probably still will be. So we'll just have to turn up on the day and play our best footy and hopefully get the points again.
And Liam, safe with Carina taking on Ipswich this week at Ipswich City. Are you going to be taking an interest, or are you're just going to get away from the game?
Of course, I'll take an interest. I'll keep an eye on the result. I mean, it's a massive game for both teams. Ipswich coming off the back of the Ripley game it's a big 3 points for them and an unexpected 3 points for them. But this is a massive 6-pointer game. I'm friends with the Ipswich coach, and we have a bit of a rivalry. So, both teams will be up for that game, and we've played each other numerous times since I've been at Carina, both in the FFA Cup, the league, and pre-season friendlies. So there's a lot of history, good history, not bad rivalry. So there's a lot of good history there, and they've got a couple of players back. Wardy scored 2 on the weekend, he's a quality player in my opinion. They've got another player, Sam Chesterfield, who always scores against us, guaranteed to score against us, whether it's a penalty or in open play. So they've got some good, and obviously the two boys that Liam mentioned earlier, Rule and the other guy. They've got some quality players, and I do think if our boys, if we can get a full team out, and the boys are up for it, they're definitely good enough to win the game for sure.
Rounding out the round, Slacks Creek are hosting New Farm and North Pine are playing Ripley Valley. That should be a cracker as well. That's on Anzac Day. Let's have a quick squiz at Capital League 2. Just a couple of rounds so far. We've got North Brisbane on top of the league. Josh, how far is North Brisbane away from Newmarket? That's really close as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's about 15 or so. It's pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, so they're the only team that have won both their opening games. Springfield in second, Clairvaux in third, Oxley in fourth. Willowburn off to a slow start in Capital League 2, and Narangba have only played one match there, also on no points. Let's have a look at the games this weekend. Redcliffe PCYC up against Springfield United. Clairvaux hosting Barden Latrobe. Westside Grovely taking on North Brisbane. KPR hosting Oxley, and Narangba up against the Willows. Guys, do you take an interest in Cap League 2 and Cap League 3?
I'd take an interest in Cap 2 or Cap 3 with Redcliffe PCYC because the boys there, Jermaine and his brother and the boys, they're wearing our apparel now. So we'll follow them closely. See when they're the new boys and they've come on board and they're wearing our logo and our branding. So, yeah, go PCYC and boys out there.
I think Narangba's always going to be tough in that Cap 2 comp as well. They've had some good signings from what I can see through that comp. I think Bonotto's out there now, which is nice and handy for them.
Yeah, I heard a bit of buzz about Narangba today. They're very excited about some new players that they've brought to the club. So
they got some big names. I just got told, Betty. I spoke to Betty during the week. Betty's there.
Hey, there you go.
And apparently maybe Bonotto's gone there.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah.
So it must be a nice bloody tree out there, I tell you.
All right, let's turn our attention now to Cap League 3. Again, 2 games played so far. Tarragindi Tigers are top of the table with 2 straight wins. Jimmy Ridge Hills on 4 points. Bethania Rams taking the last position in the top 4. Let's have a look at this weekend's fixtures. D-Bay up against Pine Rivers. That's a bottom of the table clash. Brighton up against Tarragindi. Jimmy up against Park Ridge. Logan Village making waves this season up against Bethania Rams. So it's something of a local derby. And Teviot Downs up against Ridge Hills. Guys, does any of those fixtures stick out to you?
Go Ridge Hills.
Yeah, I agree. I know their coach and assistant coach out there. They're good blokes.
Yeah,
they're really good blokes out there.
I know they've done a lot of hard work in building their member base. I spoke to Jace the other week. So, yeah, no, it's a club that they're on the right path to trying to grow bigger and bigger. So, good on them.
So, Leo, with Pine Hills, who's the traditional local derby against?
You'd have to say North Pine will be the derby, the derby of the Pines.
Yeah.
You know, but again, when you're Leo Sirianni, everyone's really wants to beat you and everyone wants to shove it in your face. So every week's a derby.
All right. So North Pine in this season, but what about traditionally? Is it Mitchie?
I'd still say, I mean, listen, if we played Michelson tomorrow, it'd be a derby match, obviously, because I think North Pine. I think North Pine would be the derby. Maybe when Rivers were in the league, Pine Rivers might have been another big derby. Yeah, so I'd say, yeah, and I mean, I don't think I've seen Hills play Albany Creek, but you'd probably think those 3 teams out that sort of way would be the derby matches for Pine Hills.
Yeah. What about for Newmarket, Josh?
Geez, we'd have a few. This year it'd be maybe somewhere like Annerley, maybe could even be. We're sort of smack bang in the middle of what I think sort of a radius close to everyone. Like even Pine Hills isn't really too far from us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But traditionally, is there a club that Newmarket always say, "Oh, we've got to beat North Brisbane," or we've got to beat Brisbane City?
I don't know. Maybe back when they were up a few, the higher leagues, and they were playing some more traditional, like local clubs that sort of have that establishment. Not since I've been there anyway have I heard that derby sort of nemesis that you really thrive off. That's good to have. Maybe we can create one.
Definitely. What about Carina, Liam?
Well, Carina's a small club that's just kind of come up through the leagues. They don't have any tradition or traditionally have a rival. I guess there's a rival, over the years that I've been there, we had a rival with Sanford. I know they're not in proximity, but it was always, they could never beat us, and it always frustrated them. I think we played them 9 or 10 times in so many years, and they never beat. They beat us, I think, once in 10 games. They beat us, and we won the other 9. So they all and it was always between us and them, in the finals or in the leagues, and they. I'm talking players now, but their players didn't like our players, and my players didn't like theirs, and they never liked it because we always beat them. And the first time they beat us, they'd sing our song in the changing room and stuff to try and rub it in. But when you lose 9 in a row and you win one, let them have their 5 minutes.
And that's great. I mean, it's rivalries that makes it's sport, isn't it? That's what makes the competition great.
Exactly, and it's always good to have that rivalry because it makes the win more sweeter, right? It's horrible when you lose, but it makes the win sweeter for sure.
For sure.
We'd have probably had a rival with Pine Hills if we'd if I'd have stayed at Carina. We'd have probably had some animosity on that game for sure, especially on the touchline. It would have kicked off.
I'm too busy smoking behind the touchline, so I
We last year we had a bit of a. Actually, Moggle's always going to be a fiery game, I think, for Newmarket now. Like we had a bit of a going there anyway. If you boys have been there lately, you would have been there last year, Leo. The spectators get up in that old Pine Rivers style big pen, and they get on it. But I was the assistant last year, and it was like second last week of the season. And I had, throughout the year, I some weeks I had 7 blokes, and we're pulling 7 from the 18s who might play 4 hours prior to us. And we were going to Moggle, and I had no one. Like I was depleted. And I rang them and said, look, if I field a squad, it's going to be 7 blokes against 11. Not good for their mentality at all. And they had their presentation, so they had set up this big thing for these 2 games, and we had to pull on one, and they just cracked it at us. They lost it they were on Facebook, and they were blowing up about us and whatnot. So that'll be a fiery game, I think, for them. Not anything personal, but just a bit of banter for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want. All right, we might end this show the same way that we ended the Football Queensland show. Guys, I'll just get you to roll off what you think is the best derby in Southeast Queensland at the moment. For me, it's Logan Roadstar. What say you, Leo?
Saturday night at CTM Stadium, Pine Hills versus Brisbane City. So if you aren't doing anything, 6 p.m. in the FFA Cup, that'll be the biggest derby. Listen, when I was growing up, I used to, it's funny, my mum would dress me in my best clothes as an 8-year-old kid. We'd go to Perry Park or Brisbane City, and there'd be 4,000 or 5,000, maybe 3 to 5, I won't exaggerate, but it was just packed full of people. Lions City was probably the biggest derby match back when I was growing up, or City Olympic was probably the other big one.
What about now? What do you reckon now?
The biggest one now, I think, would have to be, I think City and Olympic really still they get on their Facebook and they try and get a big crowd out to that match, but obviously they don't play each other this year. The biggest one, mate, geez, you'd think maybe Moreland Bay Power, except they're coming from the same region.
Yeah,
might be a good derby to go and watch. Yeah, there's not that many. I mean, even in the BPL is a non-existent league to me. I spoke about it before, so there's no derby match there. Maybe Wollongong Albany Creek because of what happened last year. Hopefully Wollongong bought them a new fence. I don't know what happened there.
Is Mount Gravatt in the Wollongong in the BPL? Like, are they the same comp?
Yeah,
They are. Hey, so that'll be a fiery game now.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I was going to say. Mount Gravatt, St George.
Yeah, that's going to be.
What about Annerley AC Carina? That'd be a big derby from the last week.
Oh no, it's always been a good game, and they're quite close to each other. But in my opinion, it's never been. There's never been that much animosity between both clubs. I never win when I go to Annerley. I don't think I've ever won at their place at Carina, so they always beat us, and I don't think we've lost at our place to them. Yeah. So I think it's just whoever's at home gets the result usually. But yeah, it's not been too bad. I mean, there is a bit of give and take, jibe and banter and stuff, but there's no animosity, not from my side anyway, towards them.
So, Liam, what do you think's the biggest derby then?
Oh, St George Mount Gravatt now. Well, that would be my pick for sure, for obvious reasons.
Sure. What about you, Josh?
Yeah, if City was still in with Olympic, I think that would always be a good derby, and I've got a bit of a soft spot for watching Olympic in the NPL. But I'd say with aggression's probably going to be that Mount Gravatt and St George game now. But I think for our league, I'm going to, North Pine Hills, the two Pines is going to be a good local derby to have in our comp.
Yeah. What about you, Liam Parslow?
There's two. I think considering the departure of Gray Pittock from Knights last season, I think when Gold Coast United and Gold Coast Knights meet up, I think that's going to be an interesting match to watch. Gold Coast aren't doing their best. Knights are obviously the top 2 or 3, whatever it was. And as discussed in the other show, I would really like to see the Ipswich Derby come back between Pride and Ipswich Knights. I think there's some untapped potential with that one.
Hey, Liam, what about Ipswich City and Ripley? You went to the game the other night. Was that like a true derby or no?
Yeah, it was. As I said before, mate. Yeah, it was hard hitting. There was heaps of banter from the sidelines. Pato and Norbert were just at each other towards that second half. At the end of that second half, crowd was right up Adam O'Sullivan, who obviously used to play for Bulls many moons ago. It was a hard game, a physical game. And Bulls were desperate for a win, as you know, because they were smack bang down the bottom of the ladder. And Ripley obviously came into it full of confidence, but a couple of injuries during their game kind of wrecked some of their plans. So yeah, it was a good proper game to watch as a neutral and a lover of all things Ipswich football, and I really think that Knights and Pride, especially Pride being my own team that I support, I think there's a lot to learn out of that game in terms of how to play a derby.
I know they're not in the same league anymore, but what about Bulls and Spirit? Was that always a good derby?
To be honest, mate, I haven't been to a Spirit or or a Bulls match. I'm only just starting to venture into the Capital League games, and that's purely because I don't live far from Ripley, and I talk to Pato and Dave Willow all the time, and I've ventured down to their games, and they're starting to get my interest in that. So I can't comment on that. I haven't been to one.
We might leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Leo Siriani, best of luck going back to Corporate Travel Management Stadium this weekend.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, boys, and great to chat to you all.
Good stuff. Great to finally have you on the show, Leo. I've been snubbing you for a long time now.
That's right. Just make sure everybody logs on Ballin, BALLN, australia.com.au.
You got some discount codes there, Leo?
Yeah, I'll send them through to you, Josh.
Josh from Newmarket, thanks for joining us, mate. It's great to have you on the show.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It's awesome. Thank you very much.
And Liam's safe. Yes. Best of luck in the future. Let's just leave it at that, shall we?
Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get you back on the show soon. Now that you're a free man, you've got some time on your hands. About football to us. Liam Parslow and Liam's Cough, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. We will see you next week.